I have the distinct pleasure to introduce today's program, and we're really excited to have folks from the Children's Home here. Joining us today are a few friends from the Children's Home Association of Illinois, but I'll start with the introduction of our very own Scurry Miller, President and CEO, because he's going to kick off things for us. Scurry's been a resident of Peoria for 2 years now. He chose Greater Peoria after a nationwide search looking for a great place to live, work, and grow. And guys, he really loves Peoria, for real. Scurry's personal life experience has led him to a lifelong career of helping others directly, starting as a substance abuse counselor at the Faulkner Center in Austin, Texas, and directly by leading and building dynamic programs, resources, and teams with every single career advancement. As president and CEO of Children's Home, he has led the efforts to procure better buildings for programs and services offered, update all facilities where our youth live, reside, and receive services, and also introduce a special program called Sanctuary Model. This is a blueprint which promotes safety and recovery from adversity through the active creation of trauma-led informed community, and much, much more. Please help me give a Rotary Club of Peoria-North welcome to Scurry Miller, President and CEO of Children's Home.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate y'all having us here today. I know probably maybe half of you guys, and I don't know if all of you know Katie Cox. If you can stand up, Katie. Katie is our Chief Development Officer. Katie and I are kind of tag teaming and learning from one another and doing presentations. So I'm going to have Katie do part of the program today, but there's a couple of really exciting pieces that I definitely want to focus on. So the presentation today, just to review for you guys a little bit about Children's Home and the services we provide. You can click to the next slide there. We have been around for 158 years. I had asked what is our mission and what are our values when I came here when I was doing this nationwide search 2 years ago. And what impressed me the most about Children's Home was the value and the longevity in the community. You can click to the next slide. I don't read what's on the slides. I just got it done. But what was most attractive to me, honestly, when I thought about having worked for social services agencies pretty much all my life, children, youth, and families, was that Children's Home had been around for almost 158 years. And when I thought about a social services agency and I think about what is quality, what would it be a place that I want to work for, is when I think of that, I think of, Children's Home has had to have done a lot of things right over the years. They had to have adapted over time to meet the community's needs. They have to definitely be supported by the community. Without that, they couldn't exist. And they have to be providing some pretty high quality services. For any of you that are in business, you don't last 158 years unless you're doing all of those things right. So that was what was most attractive. What became second most attractive to me, and maybe this has become first, is when you say, Scurry really does enjoy Peoria. I really do enjoy Peoria. When I came here, it was astounding to me the warmth and the welcome that I got from folks like Mark, from Julie Bonner, from Andy, YMCA. You name it, I felt welcome when I came here. All the way from those folks to the lady at the waiter at the restaurant felt like that they were our friend. It's like, this is kind of interesting. There's a different feeling or a different vibe in Peoria. I've heard it called Peoria friendly. The Embassy Suites, I had checked in, and spent 2 days here, and I swear I felt like that the person at the front desk was welcoming us into their home. And so it very, very much felt like a place that I could hang out and belong. And the quality of services that Children's Home promoted that they offered has definitely been true. My job, quite frankly, has been easy, to come into an excellent organization that's very well run, and then be able to look at strategically, how can we make this even better? What has changed in the community? What are the needs of the community? Meeting with folks, with the chief of police, meet with Mary Ali, meet with Dr. Karat, with the school district. Tell me what's going on in the community. I've got a great just a few minutes kind of run through the programs that we're that we're facilitating right now. And there's two really exciting pieces, which she's going to let me come back up and talk about the really exciting stuff that's changed. So let's give it up for Katie.
Thanks, Scurry. Yes, we're going to let you do all the really fun, exciting announcements, but hopefully you know that there are a plethora of services offered at Children's Home. I know I'm a lifelong Peorian as well, and on my adventure to Children's Home earlier this year, I realized that there was still a lot of learning that I needed to do and help educate our community. So I do have slides associated with each of these programs. Don't worry, I'm not going to read all of them, but just want you to really understand the depth of the families that we are touching and youth we're working with here in Central Illinois. And everything that we offer, each one of these programs has anywhere from 3 to 8 additional programs and services, serving individuals from pregnancy all the way to about 22 years of age at this time. So placement services, education, clinical, community, and prevention services. So just high level overview, our placement, we have 4 unique programs. I think one that, hopefully 2 of them that the community knows a lot about is our youth farm location, which is located out near the airport, where we have about 40 youth in our care right now, and getting ready to reopen a cottage in the near future as well. Foster care, probably one of our greatest needs as the organization is for foster parents and families. So if that is anything that is interesting to you or someone you know, we always can welcome and provide services to individuals who want to foster children. Our supervised independent living program, super exciting. We'll bring Scurry back up to talk a little bit about that in just a second. And intact family services is really where we're trying to keep the families together. Scurry, do you want to share a little something? I know.
So quick,
then I give you a few more slides and you can sit down.
All right. You can click to this.
She's in control, Scurry.
She's in control. She tells me what to do. So this is really exciting stuff. I walk regularly all of our programs and all of our buildings. I want to hang out with the staff. I want to know what's really going on. I want to be in touch. I want to feel the heartbeat of what we're doing. And several of our houses that we have for transitional living, which is supervised independent living for youth aging out of foster care. So young people that are 18 to 21 or so. And these houses are really small, and they were built, like I looked up, one was built in 1902, 1920, and really not appropriate I always say if I wouldn't send my kid there, I'm not going to run a program like that. So I've been on a quest to figure out how we could make those houses better. And I think I've looked at 20 or 30 different properties around town, like where could I move these supervised independent living folks? How can I get into a better part of town? Where's another better building? And quite frankly, was just coming up with zero. There's a lot of this business of, you guys, anybody here know what NIMBY means? Not in my backyard. It's like, it's great, but we'd really rather have it be somewhere else. So I said, well, okay, let's forget that idea. Let's rehab these houses. Let's raise some money and let's go in and let's rehab these houses. So I got 3 construction companies, remodelers, to come out and walk these buildings with me. Every one of them said, Scurry, these homes are at their end of life, meaning that you're going to spend, $400,000 to rehab this old house from 1920. That's how old these houses are. That's how much work would need to be done. And I'm like, well, damn it, what am I to do now? And so, what I realized is, honestly, I felt like I'm settling for crumbs. We don't have to do that. The kids that we're serving deserve better than that. And so I approached the board and said, I would like to build our own brand new homes. And I don't have to worry so much about it not being in my backyard, that NIMBY, because I'd like to build them on our property. So for those of you who know Children's Home, big historic site, built in the late 1800s, part of it in 1900s. And in the back, if you've not been back there, I was talking to a friend back in Texas one day, and I kept walking and walking and walking. I said, we own all this property back here, this parking lot, all this green space? Yes, we do. And so we've talked with the zoning commission. We're going to talk with the city council, but so far everything's a go. Some of you may have gotten a letter from me to sign. I know some of you signed it. I appreciate it, just in support of this. We'll switch the zoning just slightly. But what this provides is it provides a place for these youth, mostly developmentally disabled boys and girls aging out of foster care, 12 per house, a place to transition into adulthood. So statistics are that 42% of young people that age out of foster care experience homelessness at some point in their transition or in their life. So for me, when I was talking about like children's home adjusting to meet the needs of the community, Mayor Ali and everybody was telling me homelessness, homelessness, homelessness. And children's home really couldn't step into the homelessness adult world. It just didn't quite fit our mission. But what does fit our mission is preventing homelessness. So this to me is a way for us to evolve as an agency and be able to step up for the needs of the communities around preventing homelessness here in Peoria. So we're really excited. You see a timeline up there. It's a little bit aggressive. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to pay for these just yet. But quite honestly, I have several different folks who want to help pay for it. That's not going to be a problem. We're going to figure that out. And for me, meeting with Councilman Rickenbaugh, who's the councilman for the East Bluff over there, he is thrilled that we're going to build brand new properties in the East Bluff. And the East Bluff needs that sort of revitalization. So you're going to hear more about this. You'll see some news stories. You guys, I think, are one of the first audiences that we've actually spoken to. So the Rotary Club knows more than most folks. But you'll start seeing in the news, and you might see some petitions and such like that. But really excited about that. Katie, thanks for letting me have the fun part. Yes, Mark.
What's the total cost of the project?
Probably $3 million. Probably $3 million. When you're building new, and that was what was shying me away before, was that's a lot of money. But our board, professionals here in the community, dedicated volunteer board, and they said to me, Scurry, this is a 20, 30, 40, 50-year investment in this community. We're not talking about repairing some old houses and trying to keep them going. This is actually going to be something that we as a board see as this investment for 30, 40, 50 years. We want to do that. We want to figure out how to do that. So it wasn't just me, but the board's really supportive of that. Chunk of change. All right.
Yeah. Not that the rest isn't fun, but Scurry just gets to talk about all the super fun stuff. And real quick too, I know Scurry mentioned that this program really right now focuses 18 to 21. You see 24 up there. Our goal and hope is that we can accommodate and help a few more. So one of our other programs that we offer is our education program, which is the Kiefer School and Academy for Autism. Do we have any Academy of Our Lady graduates in the room? I feel like every week we need a few friends. This is where our schools are, right across from Obed and Isaac's. But each year we start, right now we have about 80 students enrolled between the two schools, and the Kiefer School helps kids that have been removed from their home districts because of severe emotional or behavioral health issues, and the goal is to provide them wraparound services, not just at Kiefer School, but intersect with our other programs as well so that we can get them back to their home school districts. Also, some of our youth farm kids come to school here, and again, our Academy for Autism, providing education to kids with autism. This is actually one of my favorite pics I've seen lately. This is from first day of school this year. Two little buddies holding hands, pretty cool. Our community programs really focus on helping at-risk youth from entering or re-entering the juvenile justice system. So we have the Leaders of Tomorrow program, which is based out of Manual High School, and mental health, juvenile justice, and our comprehensive community-based youth services. Most of those targeting the 10 to 17-year-old individuals, because we do believe in building up our youth, obviously, and helping to divert them from entering the juvenile justice system and child welfare system as well. Clinical, promise, I'm not going to read all of these things, but this really is one of our larger programs in what we do. I think we all know the importance of mental health, and personally and in our community. So our 7 programs are really aimed to a variety of age groups, not just to children, but also to the families and helping them. Our school-based therapy program is something that is growing, where we take our therapists and counselors right into the school district to provide that therapy on site. We know sometimes transportation can be an issue getting to and from those much needed services. So that is a really, really exciting program that we're really looking to see a lot of growth in. And mobile crisis response, just want to point that out. We do offer a 24/7 hotline that anyone can call for when we are noticing youth in crisis. And then our prevention program, much like it sounds, this program is really geared towards women and families in pregnancy and all the way through a child being about 6 years of age. These three programs have a lot of overlap and offer home visiting services, really helping our team in these programs really help to not only connect them with our services that we offer, but also all the community services that can help young parents and children really be healthy and be well. So we really love this. Family Connects is our one outlier. This is actually a service that is offered to anyone and provides registered nurses to bring in home health care once somebody has had a baby. Scurry.
One more time.
One more time for Scurry.
All right, one more time. Thank you. So I am a bit of an entrepreneur or a builder or a grower. I just have always been that wherever I work, whatever I do. And it was apparent to me that our counseling services were not in the right place to serve the folks that we want to serve in the community. For those of you who know, the youth farm is pretty far out. It's about a 20-minute drive or so. And a while ago, our counseling department was moved out there. Our behavioral health services was moved out there. It was an empty building. It was an easy thing to do, but it really wasn't best for the clients that we served. So I have been thinking and wondering for the last 2 years, how could we bring those counselors, all of those programs that you just saw, closer to the clients that we serve. The other is that we really don't want to lease buildings. We lease a building that our prevention services are in, and it's a bit older, again, and not in the best shape. And, if you're a client, you walk in there, it may not feel the best. So, again, working with Madison Maloof, the Maloof group, again, looking at good 20 different buildings, trying to figure something out. Just couldn't find a building that would be suited for us that would not cost just an enormous amount of money to rehab. And I was having my coffee and breakfast, like on a Thursday, and reading the Peoria News, and I saw the picture of this building and the Red Cross building for sale. And I'm like, what? Where's more information about this? Now, I'll give Madison credit, right? She helped me figure this out further. But I found this property over coffee, reading the Peoria News. And found out where it was, how much they wanted, what the condition of the building, went and toured it, and was floored. So we purchased the building, and we are in the process of rehabilitating the entire building. We'll be moving all of our prevention services and all of our counseling services. And for those of you who don't know, it's right there on West John Gwynn, right across from the Civic Center, the bus station. A couple other nonprofits are down there, Crittenton, the Carver Center, obviously OSF and Carl. And for me, this is an opportunity for us to establish a firm professional footprint outside of our older iconic campus, right down there with everybody. This is an interesting sort of experience for me, again, working with our board, which, Peoria, you guys are givers. I mean, it floors me. Other cities I've lived in, Peoria is small, gives 10 times what other cities give. But I was walking through the building with several of the board members that are on our facilities committee. And I was saying, well, we need to repaint that office, and that office looks pretty good. And we could do the carpet in the hallways, but those carpets look good in the office. And one of the board members stopped me and said, Scurry, we're not going to do that. If we're going to do this building, we're going to do it all the way. We want the entire building remodeled, rehab, new carpet, new paint, new roof, build out walls, make it exceptional. And I'm standing there going, usually I have to convince the board to spend money, and they're convincing me to spend money. But just to give you an idea of the quality of the board, the aspirations of the board, is really wanting to step up and raise the level of services that we provide. So this, I'm hoping that will open first of next year. We'll definitely, put out a big announcement, a ribbon cutting, open house, and all of that. But thrilled to be doing it. I actually walked through it this morning because we're having staff tour it. They're going to move over there. It's looking great. And I think what was most fun for me is just to see the excitement and the light in the staff's eyes. They're like, thank you for caring about us too and where we work. And now we're going to be thrilled to have people come in this building and work with us. And I threatened to move my office down there, but I think I'll stay at the Knoxville for now.
Yep, so all of our prevention and clinical programs moving down to the building. Again, we'll keep you posted. 2 of our programs will come into our Knoxville campus, which makes sense because they are primarily working with a lot of our youth that are in the foster care and also the youth services programs that are also happening at Knoxville. So just high level overview, we work with a lot of youth and families every year. Every month we're working with about 1,800 individuals, and again, really working to provide those services that are raising up families and at-risk youth in our community. Psychiatric intervention, there's a lot of that, and that's part of the reason that we are making the moves that we're making and getting into schools and having better buildings so that we can be right where we need to help those that we are working with the most. Last but not least, didn't want to leave before letting you know how you can get involved with us. You know, we have, even if you don't see it on the slide, we have a way that we can connect your employees, your family, your friends, of course, volunteer opportunities, fundraising opportunities, great events. You can see that I have bolded holiday wish list because this is just around the corner. We've got our little holiday logo down here. On November 1st, we'll start promoting that. We have about 1,100 youth and families that we'll be fulfilling wish lists for. So we're collecting those from our team right now, and then those will be available to shop and really provide a great holiday to these individuals. You can learn more at our website, CHAIL.org. And then my contact information is here as well. If you have any questions about today or children's home or anything, you can reach out to me, of course, Scurry, but we'll make sure you have this contact information. So thank you so much for having us here today. I think we're redoing time if there were questions or.
Yep.
What kind of questions do you guys have, either about Children's Home or our new projects? Yes, sir.
So thank you so much.
Bob, wait for the microphone, please.
I could hear you, but maybe everybody else.
We've got people on Zoom, so it's just easier
Oh,
to
yeah,
hear the
yeah.
microphone.
And people in the back.
Stop. So I started by saying thank you for being here, and we really appreciate your story. I happen to know the area for the Red Cross. I worked on that with Ann Fox many, many years ago. It was a part of town that wasn't as attractive as it is now. So, and you're such a good use for that building. Appreciate that. So I hope this is a fair question, but
It's all game. I'm good.
how do you measure your success?
Right.
Are you successful at what you do?
Sure,
You
sure.
must have to tell fundraising and like that, all the great things you're doing. And I just wonder how you measure that. Is it numbers? How do you measure changes in life and like that? Anyway, that's the question.
Excellent,
Thank you.
excellent question. I would say that there's about probably 20 different answers to that question because the number of programs that we have. But to give you an example, for us with our youth that are aging out of, they're at our youth farm that are placed there. They're all, right now it's all developmentally disabled boys and girls, a total of 50, 5 different cottages. And we measure our success on 2 things. One is how are we able to engage and be with them as a staff. I remember a long time ago, an old mentor, old hippie guy, we do get all these measurements and all these evaluations of our programs and such. And he says, Scurry, I've been doing this 50 years or something at the time. And he says, what makes a difference is those youth relationships with you. He says, when I have kids come back and I ask them what was most important, what was most helpful, I believe asking the customer what's the measure of success. So we ask the kids, what was the best about this program? What made the most difference for you? And the kid will tell you that I felt cared about. And he said, you can go in and you can ask kids on a scale of 1 to 10, how cared about do you feel here? And if you're getting 8, 9s, and 10s, you can walk away from that program, forget even looking at their files, evaluating your staff, because those kids feel cared about. So the impact that you make on a kid, that is not a tangible one that you can measure. But kids will come back and tell you what was most important to you about that program where you were at for 3 years. What was most meaningful to you? My relationship with Mr. So-and-so, or because Miss So-and-so cared about me, right? So that's a big one for me. But the other is again, an example of moving into independence. So the idea with most of the youth that we work with is, are those kids becoming more self-sufficient? And it's not easy to always quantify because quantifying self-sufficiency doesn't always mean I moved from your youth farm to the supervised independent living to then an apartment by myself, or I moved back in with relatives. That'd be an easy number to quote, and that runs about 70% or so. But the harder number to quote is these kids are, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, 3 steps forward, 2 steps, or even less. So for a kid's measure of success, we're measuring how are they doing moving towards independence. You know, if a kid didn't move into stable living right away, but our school where we have kids that are anywhere from, in the autism school, kids that are verbal to nonverbal, and then the kids in the Kiefer school that are behavioral, it's going to be about how do they progress through school, how well are they doing. I'll tell you just anecdotally, the kids that are in Kiefer are supposed to be kids with behavioral problems that couldn't make it at regular school. I go over there and it's one of the nicest, quietest places I've ever been. And honestly, I'm going to tell you, I've done this for quite some time. It's because they feel cared about. Those kids that come off the bus and the staff greet them when they come in, and it's good to see you, and how are you today, and care about you, and et cetera, those kids do fine in our school. We have little to no problem with these kids just were failing in a regular school. So we do have more data and statistics, and I will tell you that I just hired a consultant for Children's Home that started 3 months ago. He's out of New York, a PhD that helps you with data measurement and outcomes and how you can present that well. Because I know that we do really good work and we do a lot of grant reporting and a lot of success reporting to our funders. But I've not been able to I would like to have a live dashboard of every single program where we've chosen 5 measures for Children's Home. What is the measure of success of outcome, so that I could actually go to the board, or I could come to you today and I could bring it up right now and show you. So we actually have employed somebody to help us do that and do it better. Awesome question. That's high level question. That's a good question. Thank you.
I'll tell my wife.
Tell her that. Yes, sir.
This is a low-level question.
Okay.
And much more personal. How does one get the name Scurry?
Excellent question. So it's my mother's maiden name. So Scurry is my mother's maiden name. My first name is Richardson, which is also a last name. So Richardson Scurry Miller. And when I was in 5th, I want to carry on the family name. When I was in 5th grade, I tried to change my name to something that I thought was cool, like Rich or Ricky or something like that. And everybody kept calling me Scurry, so I just said to myself, it'll just be a conversation piece for the rest of my life. And here we are at 60-something years old having a conversation about my name. And I do scurry around. Yes.
Hi, congratulations for all you do.
Thank you, we appreciate it.
Question that I had was, I noticed on the board here, you talked about your cattle auction.
Yes.
How does that operate? And how many cattle do you actually raise out there?
I wish I had a picture of this for you. So I'm from Texas, and my aunts and uncles actually owned cattle auction houses where I went as a child and sat terrified as they brought. I came here and I heard that in Peoria you have a cattle auction. I'm like, that's our main fundraiser? Do y'all really auction off cattle? And they said, well, we used to. So the way that it started, I think, is with Chuck Weaver. Y'all know Chuck Weaver, Chuck Weaver's farm. That there was actually live cattle auctioned off. Then I think it went, and this is maybe I'm going to say a 50-year tradition. This has been going on. Then they moved away from live cattle till they would auction off cuts of beef and cuts of cows and all that kind of stuff. And at some point, it looped back around. It's just a very fun country western chic event. So the event happens once a year. We try to get folks to come out, have a good time. We always have a live auction. It's the only time that you'll see me in a cowboy hat, but I actually look pretty good. I'm like, that's not bad. But everybody comes dressed Western and has fun and has a good time, and it's all to give money to Children's Home and donate.
The other question is, how many people do you employ?
A lot. So right now, I think we're at 430,
Oh, wow.
440.
Wow.
It's an enormous organization. I think statistically we're the largest youth serving organization in Central Illinois.
Wonderful.
Primarily Peoria, but obviously the Tri-County area and a bit around some of the kids from foster care come from. But I'll tell you, it's an amazing organization to work for. We, as a senior leadership team, have lunch with all of the new employees their first day. Because we want to talk with them and connect with them as an administration so that they know that we care about them. That whole caring thing, this sanctuary model that we mentioned earlier, is a way to run and lead an organization from a caring perspective. So we tell those staff, we want you to feel cared about by your supervisor as an employee, and we want you to feel cared about as a person. And if you don't feel cared about as a person here at Children's Home, I'd like to know. We need that so that you can go and care about those kids that you work with. But the atmosphere, the retention rate, to talk some more high-level stuff, the retention rate has gone through the roof. The new hire employee orientations that I sit through, 9 times out of 10 have returning staff that used to work here years ago. So whatever is happening, the churn at Children's Home has slowed down. Everybody with COVID and employing folks has been rough. But we actually did a market salary study this last year over the whole year, and we were able to raise the rate of pay for 285 employees. So we said, outside of your normal merit, here we want to pay you more money for the work that you're doing. The minimum wage, the minimum entry, this is again more just business stuff, but it means that people can feel cared about, appreciated all day long. If you don't pay them, it doesn't work. But we raised the minimum. It was like $15.25 to $18.50. So the starting pay now, you won't start at $15.25. You'll start at $18 plus. So there's a lot of increased morale, just about that we care about you and the atmosphere and the culture, but we're also matching that with paying you.
Do children come back and give you, as adults, testimonials?
They do. They'll show up and they'll be 40 years old. And seriously, because Children's Home is so old, we have people coming back saying, my mother went to Children's Home. And this person that's telling us this is 20 years old. I actually am a big history buff. I've got the executive director for the Historical Society, and I can't remember her name. Somebody probably knows it. I want to say Elizabeth. But they're coming out next week as the board chair to tour our facility because I have a whole bunch of really cool stuff like census books. I found some census books in a safe that we had that dates back to the late 1800s. I think it's 1888. 1888 to like 1910, and all it has is so it used to be women and children primarily. All it has is the girl's or the mother's name and a date, and that's the only records they kept on anybody. And there are, if I said tens of thousands of names, I would not be kidding you. I found books of census books with line by line by line ledger of people that Children's Home had served over the years. I don't remember your question, how I got into that.
No, you.
Oh, do kids come back?
You answered it.
Just the history of Children's Home is pretty amazing. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
I'm gonna make Lynn run.
Okay. All right.
Just you, Bob.
Speaking to the history, quick little thing. My father was a social worker, and I'm in my mid-60s, so this goes back a few years. But when I was a little kid, I remember sitting in the back seat of our car, and my dad would go to the Children's Home building, get a baby, and we would take night for whatever reason. And I mean, that's not something that happens today, I'm sure, but
no, but what a story.
yeah. So that it's pretty cool.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, so some of the people that come and say that the parents used to drive them by children's home and threaten to drop them off there. Didn't pay. I've had more than one person tell me that.
Because my dad is,
Yeah.
Can I ask you one question?
Sure.
I know you love Peoria now. How did you end up here in this career?
Well, so I've been asked this before. Do we have 2 minutes or? Okay. So I've been asked this before and I'm not shy about it. So, when I'm in the new employee hire orientations, I think it's important that you know and you identify, why do you do this work? Why do you want to work at a children's home? Why do you want to work with these really tough to work with kids? And so I tell my story. I say, as a CEO, I think you ought to know why I do this work. And I was actually a runaway and homeless youth at age 17. I was kicked out of my house. I was doing drugs. I got sent to treatment centers. I got sent to boys' homes. I did a little bit of jail time for drugs. I was a mess. My parents told me, don't ever come back to this house, all of that. And when I was 19, 20, when I was 20, 21, I got off of drugs and alcohol, got quote clean and sober, and I got my GED, and I started going to community college, and I had no idea what I wanted to do. I thought maybe a chef or a truck driver or, work in a grocery store. I had no idea. But I was working as what they call a tech at an alcohol and drug rehab residential for youth. And a tech is, well, they call it SAT, S-A-T, and the kids used to tell us to sat our ass down all the time. And it was just a job to make money. And I was working evenings, overnights, weekends, like the front desk and that. And one of the counselors says, hey, Scurry, you're really good at this. You can do this for a living. And I said, what do you mean do this for a living? And she says, well, you could become a counselor. I'm like, okay, I guess maybe I could. So that's what I ended up doing as I went to school, and I got my master's and became a counselor for chemical dependency and did that for about 10 years. And then realized I was really good at leadership and management and structure and organization and teamwork. And that's when I became a manager and a leader, and worked with different youth populations of felon juveniles or in felon juvenile facilities, homeless youth, foster care, pretty much you name it. Youth are my thing. Obviously, that's why I did this. I get this stuff. I love it. And I tell that story to the new hires because they need to remember why they're doing this work when it gets really hard. This is hard work. You're dealing with trauma every single day, kids that have been abused, kids that are acting out, all kinds of stuff that's happening. So I honestly hardly work a day in my life because I love what I do. 5% of the time I have some hard days. Otherwise, it's like, no, I don't really care. I enjoy what I do. So that's how I got into this business.